Hey, all right. We are 2 weeks out, okay? We have this week and next week for assignments, and then we are golden and ready to enjoy the summertime. So last week, we finished up A Rose for Emily. And so your assignment for this week is going to be this PDF that I am going to load onto Google Classroom. But I wanted to go over everything with you first so you understood what it was that I was asking for. Alrighty. So you have several things that you need to get done throughout the analysis of this story now that we are done with it. So the first thing that it has up here is some of the vocab, which we've already done. We did that 2 weeks ago. So that is something that you do not have to do. But the first thing that you do need to do within this series of PDFs is the analyze plot sequence. As you can see, you have two different columns here. One is labeled as disclosed in the story. One is labeled chronological order. Okay, so it says Homer's arriving in town, the visit of the alderman, Emily's buying the poison, Colonel Sartoris is deciding not to tax Emily, the death of Emily's father, the stench coming from the house, the arrival of Emily's relatives, and Homer's disappearance. Okay? Those are 8 different pieces of the story that you are going to be working with and analyzing the plot sequence. Okay? It says 8 events from the story are given here. In the space below, that's these 2 columns, list them first as they are given in the story. So that's this column right here, as disclosed in the story. So you're going to take all 8 of these and you're going to put them in order as they appeared in the story. Okay? Remember, in the story, we had present time flashback, farther flashback, then coming back up, but it's still a flashback. Faulkner had us all over the place. So this first column, go back through the story and list in order of the story when these 8 events happened. Okay? You're going to give them as they listed in the story, and then in this column over here, the chronological order, you are going to put the same 8 instances from the story in the order that they actually would have occurred in time had the story been told straight through, okay, and not have had a bunch of flashbacks. All right? So the first column, you're taking these 8 events. You're going to list them in order as they appeared in the story. Then in this column, you're going to put them in order of actual time. If the story was being told in actual chronological order, how would those appear? Okay? All right. That's the first part. Then down here, you have questions to ponder and answer. It says for each of the 5 sections of the story, there are several questions. Answer each carefully and support your answers with evidence from the story. This is where you guys bomb your assignments because it asks for evidence from the story and y'all don't put it down. And I'm not counting it correct if you don't put down evidence. Guess it'll be easier for me to grade that way. Part 1, what is your impression of Emily's house? Don't just say, oh, it's run down. I need to know why you think it's run down. Where does it say that in the story? If you don't put that, that is 0 points. How does Miss Emily treat her visitors? How do you know? List it from evidence in the story. If you don't put evidence from the story, guess how many points you get for that? That's right, a goose egg. Part 2, why were people glad to find out that all of Emily's father left to her was the house? How do you know that? How did the townspeople finally solve the problem with the smell? Part 3, why do the townspeople say, aw, poor Emily? Number 6, why does Miss Emily want The arsenic, what does she want it for? Do we know? We don't really even know, so that's got to be speculative on your part. That's why it's called questions to ponder, okay? But you do need to tell me evidence from the story. Part 4, why is it, according to the townspeople, that Homer Barron would not marry Emily? Give me details from the story that back up your answer. Number 8, what do the townspeople believe happened to Homer Barron? Number 9, how does Faulkner describe Miss Emily's hair in this section? And number 5, or part 5, or chapter 5, describe the room upstairs that no one had seen in 40 years. Then 11 says, from the details given in the story about Miss Emily's death and the special circumstances, construct a news report for television. Your national audience does not know Emily or her history. Be sure your story is accurate and complete. Remember, every good news story answers the basic questions of who, what, when, where, why, and how. And I'll tell you what, if you record this as you are an investigator or a reporter and you actually record it, you video it, I'll give you extra credit for that, okay? So you need to make sure that you act as a reporter and answer questions of who, what, when, where, and why, okay? Your national... Okay. Also remember, your audience doesn't know Emily Grierson, doesn't know Emily Grierson's history. So you need to keep that in your mind, okay? Your story needs to be accurate. It needs to be complete. All right? No points if you can't do that. Number 12. What is the rose for Emily? And how do you know this? That's going to require some speculation. All right. Then it asks, your last one, personal response. Discuss any of the following themes in relation to the story. So you can choose loneliness, social status, gossip, or loyalty, because those are all central themes that run through this story. And you need to write about it, or multiple ones, how the theme relates to the story in that last question there. And I expect you to fill up the space. All righty? If you have any questions, let me know. You know how to get a hold of me. You can either write it on a piece of paper, take a picture of it, and attach it. You can throw this into Google Docs. It's whatever's going to be easiest for you. All right? Let me know if you have any questions. I will post this on Google Classroom. It will be due on Sunday. Hope you guys have a great week, and I will talk to you later.